Actually, I said a blind official, not a blindfolded. You know, I'm very rarely intimidated, and after listening to the first two speakers, I'm a little bit intimidated. You have to understand now, I've been on the bench and looked down at Coach Knight, been on the bench, looked down at Krzyzewski. I've spoken after Jim Calhoun, Tom Izzo, you name it, and it never bothered me, but you guys are really good. You know, I thought maybe I'd talk about how did I get here and what have I learned on the way. Got a great education here, 2 degrees, and I was going to be just about everything. I started out to be a doctor. I spent way more time in the library than I did the gymnasium, and I thought this ain't gonna work. So then I switched to education, then I decided I wanted to be a physical therapist. And so at that time there was a physical therapy place up on a mile ground owned by one of my buddy's fathers, and so I went up there, and that was Vietnam. And so now you go up there and you're doing out ultrasound on stubs, you know, of legs and arms, and I lasted in there about 45 minutes, and I decided to change majors again. So I'm very well educated because I took just about everything there was. I probably graduated with more hours than anyone in the history of West Virginia University. And I have a minor in safety, I have a minor in health, I have a minor in math, I have a minor in social studies. And I really wanted to be a lawyer, and then I got a chance to go to the Philadelphia 76ers and played better than I had any right to play, and kept hanging around. I kept putting the cuts up there, and I hung in there till the day before the first game, and they had all the good guys in one locker room. They had the 3 of us rookies in the other locker room. It was the first round pick, the second round pick, and me. We ceremoniously got cut by the trainer. A guy named Aldomenico, they called him the Fawns. And he came in and said, Huggins, they say in Philadelphia, Huggins wanted to know who made it or who didn't make it. Well, those 2 guys jumped up, man, just tell us who made it. He said, none of you. So he said other words, but and he ran out. You know, so these 2 guys are chasing them up and down the hallway, trying to get an explanation. I'm grabbing all the gear I can find to take them back. So when I got back, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And Coach Gardner asked me, do you want to help me coach? And I'm like, that's a way to, finish getting my master's degree paid for, sure. I didn't really want to be a coach. My dad was a coach. And so I really didn't want to be a coach. And I started doing it, and I really kind of liked it, And then Coach Gardner got fired, so I got fired my first job. And they say you have to be fired once to be a really good coach, and I thought I'd had that mastered after my first deal. I went to Ohio State for 2 years. Then my dad took the job at Walsh College, Brotherhood of Christian Instruction, greatest people in the world. They took the vow of poverty and hired me, wanted me to live it. So I did that. My dad had the job until he found out what the salary was. And so they hired me to be the basketball coach, the baseball coach, the head of the dorms, intramural director, and teach 15 hours for $19,000. And I negotiated it to $22,000 and didn't be, and then I said, I'm not going to be the baseball coach. I'm not going to teach 15 hours. I taught 9. I didn't teach 15. And I got rid of all that other stuff and just became the basketball coach. Learned a lot there. Really learned a lot there. My first game there were 36 people there. 4 of them were the brothers, the Brotherhood of Christian Instruction. And they sat there with their cardigan sweaters on and read a book the first half and left at halftime. So my goal was, so I'm asking them to come down and give the pregame prayer. I couldn't get one of them to come down and give the pregame prayer. So my goal was to fill the place and have the brothers, one of them, do a pregame prayer. We went 34-1 my last year, and I had a brother gave the opening prayer, the halftime prayer, and a postgame prayer. And we filled it. I took a bunch of people down to, the School of Education was run by a nun, Marie Helene. And I would take guys in there and she would hand everybody a pencil and a piece of paper. And she would hand me a pencil and a piece of paper and said, take notes. And so it happened once, twice. You know, about the 5th or 6th time she goes to hand me a pencil and a piece of paper. I'm like, sister, I got it. She said, no, you don't. I said, why do you do this? She said, you know, you have 5 senses, right? The more of those that you can touch, the better chance there is that you're going to retain what you learn. And so, I mean, if you think about it, so now you're listening, you're taking notes, you hear, I got it written down here. Then I have to put my glasses on to see it. I was trying to tell you what she said here. Well, she said 5 senses. She said taste. Obviously, we didn't chew on the paper. Sight, touch, smell, and hearing, which 3 of those 5 she had you do every time. And the reason that was important was when I got to the University of Cincinnati, I had an All-American, 6'7", about 260 pounds. And so what I started doing was we'd give them a written scouting report, and then we'd show them film. And then we'd give an oral scouting report, and then we'd take them out on the floor to go through what we talked about. So we're sitting there and we passed out the written report, and he turned around, take it, throw it in his locker. Never look at it. So after about 3 or 4 times, everybody's out, I said, Danny, I need to talk to you. So I stopped him, I said, can you just like look at the written scouting report? He said, Coach, don't I listen? I said, yeah. He said, don't I watch the film? I said, yeah. He said, aren't I really good and attentive when we walk through things? I said, yeah. He said, Coach, you know I can't read. He was dyslexic. Had no chance to read the scouting report. And so you stop and think, you know, I try to teach kids, and I have to find out what's the best way that they can learn. What's the best way? When I was at Walsh, our Dean of Education said this basketball thing's gotten really popular around here. I don't understand it, you know, I kind of like to know what's going on. I said, well, come on over, practice and watch us, and I'll talk you through some things. He said, I can't learn that way. I have to read it. So I gave him Bob Cousy's book on basketball, and he read it, and then he'd come to games and actually have an idea what was going on. People learn different ways. And I think my job, or your job, is to make sure that we find the best way for guys to learn. Some guys are really good when you walk through things, they know what they're doing, they're talking other people through. Some people learn by reading, some people study film a lot. They can see what's going on. So what we try to do is we try to make sure that we touch everything that we can possibly touch. I grew up in a coal mine town, 500 people, 2 stoplights, 9 bars. And, you know, you'd wake up in the morning, it was snowing like crazy, you know, and you cut the radio on, you want to hear Midvale schools are canceled. What I heard was Midvale Mine, number 9, will work. And then you hear the trucks going out with the chains on the tires, people going to work. And I tell her, like people say, what do you talk to your guys about the most? I try to talk to them about going to work. I think we're in an era now where we are so caught up in individual rights that we forget about the whole. And personally, I just don't think it's right that we have individual rights for one person and hurt 12 others. Doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm all for individual rights as long as they don't infringe on the whole. And it's becoming more and more and more prevalent. I just got on an ad hoc committee actually I'm on 2 ad hoc committees. I'm on a rules committee and I'm on the board. And we've had some issues in our game. It's hard to get a consensus because we have too many people who are worried about their own situation. They're not worried about the whole and the good of the whole. It's not going to change until we can get everybody kind of on board and figure out how we fit all these different concerns into one deal. And it's, when you sit on those committees, I sit on those committees and I mean, I hear things from people that I can't hardly believe. I mean, it just blows my mind how self-centered so many people are. We've had we went 13-19 one year. We had 13-19 one year because we had 13 guys going different directions. And as hard as I tried to kind of put them together, I couldn't get them together. So when the season's over, the first one came in to see me, said, Coach, I just don't think I'm being used right. I don't think I'm able to use my talents. I said, now you do understand, you took the most shots on the team and you were the 6th leading scorer. I agree. We're not using you right. It's amazing when you sit down and you talk to people about what's important, where you're going to go. I'm so proud of my university because when I came back, I was telling Gail, when I came back to do a press conference, I'm walking down the hall, I ran into a professor that I had when I was here. I leave the press conference, there's 2 of my professors standing there to congratulate me for being able to come back home. That doesn't happen very many places. We've graduated all but one guy who has stayed the course. All but one. And he's 2 hours away, or two hours away from graduation. The amazing thing to me is being the places that I've been, there's no place other than maybe Walsh College where people care more here. You know, we can sit and talk all we want to talk about a whole bunch of different things. You gotta care. You gotta care about people. You can't, we live in an age where basically you walk in, they give you a number, and you're a number. You're not a person. You don't feel any compassion. You don't feel, you're not very motivated. And I get all the time, how do you motivate your guys? I'm kind of old-fashioned, you know. I know how my dad motivated me. My dad told me, he said, listen, we got 4 girls and 3 boys. You boys are going to have to get a scholarship because I can't afford to send you to school. So he said, here's the deal. If you're not playing ball, when I come home, I'm going to put you to work. So I, try to find out when he's coming home first. So one day I'm out, we're playing hide and seek. And he comes home and he gives me one of these. So I went over, I said, yes, sir. He said, what are you doing? I said, practicing track. Our yard was divided 2/3 and a third. He said, that back third back there, I want to put a garden in there. Go back there and spade that. So I'm back there chopping up really the yard, My mom comes out, Bobby, what are you doing? Talk to your husband. He never came home again. I wasn't playing ball, doing something. You know, my dad was great. And my dad decided he was going to build a basketball camp. So I did everything, man. I pulled wire, I dug ditches, I dug post holes, I helped with the cement, I helped with the asphalt. My dad kept telling me, I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for you. So I'm in Cincinnati, I come home and my wife said, the toilet's broke, can you go in there and look at it? I said, no, call plumber. My dad's there, he said, listen, why do you think I had you do all those things when you were a kid? I'm like, nah, can't have it both ways. Can't have it both ways. You told me that you wanted me to do this stuff, so I would appreciate it, and I would care about getting an education. I did. Now I can afford a plumber. So, I'd like to, if you bear with, I'd like to read you something. We had a whole bunch of illness and had the flu and guys hurt, and we lost 6 out of 10 this past year. And I'm going through some old things that, you know, that I used to look at a lot. This says every fall, thousands of geese fly from Canada to the southern part of the United States to escape the bitterly cold Canadian weather. As soon as the flock of geese take flight from Canada, the Canadian waters, they quickly form a V-shaped flying pattern with one rotating goose in the center lead and all the other geese trailing behind in 2 close lines. Wildlife scientists have concluded extensive studies to determine why geese and other migratory birds always fly in a distinctive V formation. They found some fascinating results. When geese fly together, each goose provides additional lift and reduces air resistance for the goose flying behind. Consequently, by flying together in V formation, scientists estimate that the whole flock can fly about 70% farther with the same amount of energy than it could if the goose flew alone. Geese have discovered that they can reach their destination more quickly and with less energy expended when they fly together in formation. When people work together harmoniously on teams, sharing common values and a common destination, they all arrive at the destination quicker and easier because they are lifted by the energy and enthusiasm of one another. Secondly, when a goose drops out of formation, it quickly discovers that it requires a great deal more effort and energy to fly. Consequently, that goose will quickly return to the formation to take advantage of the lifting power that comes from flying together. Sometimes people playing on teams will drop out of the group and try to accomplish goals on their own. However, like the geese, they usually discover that they miss the synergy and energy that comes when they are an active part of a cohesive team moving toward their destination and want to return to the group. Thirdly, geese rotate leadership. When the goose flying in the front of the formation has to expend the most energy because it's the first to break up the flow of air that provides the additional lift for all the geese who follow behind the leader. Consequently, when the lead goose gets tired, it drops out of the front position and moves to the rear of the formation where the resistance is the lightest, and another goose moves to the leadership position. This rotation of position happens many times in the course of a long journey to warmer climates. When a team is functioning well, various members of the team may take leadership role for a while because of particular expertise or experience. Consequently, on good teams, everyone has the opportunity to serve as a leader as well as a follower. 4, geese honk at each other. They also frequently make loud honking sounds as they fly together. Scientists speculate that this honking is their way of communicating with each other during a long flight. Similarly, when working on teams, it's exceedingly important for each team member to communicate regularly with all the other members. Teams frequently fall apart because of a lack of adequate communication among the various members of the team. Perhaps human teams can learn from flying flocks of geese that constant communication among members is exceedingly important in moving effectively towards a common destination. Lastly, geese help each other. Science also discovered that when one goose becomes ill, is shot or injured, and drops out of formation, 2 other geese will fall out of formation and remain with the weakened goose. They will stay with and protect the injured goose from predators until it's able to fly again or dies. Likewise, human teams work best when they do more than just work together, but care for the well-being of each other. So I read that to our guys, and we talk about it. We talk about those things. We go out the next game to play, and before they go in, and I don't know if y'all think about it, you might remember, they line up like geese, and they run up and down the floor in formation. And after they run up and down about 3 or 4 times, one of them will fall down. 2 of them will run over there, kneel down, and stay with that goose. Stay with that guy. Stay with that guy until the other geese come back and they go in the locker room. And I'm, it's kind of funny, but I'm thinking, you know how many times you stand there and you talk and you think you've said something, pretty good, that maybe they can. I'm like Jim Bellman, I don't pay attention to the minute signs. I'm not dying yet, but it's coming soon. It's just, everybody learns differently. That's what I've learned. Everyone learns differently. Everyone learns in a different way. And it's our job as communicators to be able to figure out how it is that you get to people. And it's kind of a joke, but it's really not a joke. When I get tired of telling the same thing, I just tell them go get on the treadmill. 17 miles an hour, that's no joke. 17 miles an hour. We had a freshman come in the other day, he said, Coach, what's it like running on a treadmill? I said, I'm going to get in front of my car here, I'll go 17 miles an hour. Sometimes I think, my own experience growing up as a kid, sometimes you have to understand there are consequences for your actions and consequences for not taking any action. And so our consequence is a treadmill. And it's a big thing with our guys. We got 14 guys come back. That's how you know that, people really enjoy being here. They really enjoy the experience. We have 14 guys back now. We'll have another 5 or 6 come back. We'll have about 20 guys back this summer that are buying places, living here, staying here, helping our young people. It's unbelievable now that I look down, I'm up in my office and I look down on the practice floor and there's Tariq Phillip or Tavon Myers or whatever, working with our young guys. That's culture. That's culture. And I think from the time we were 13 and 19, the biggest thing we did is change our culture. We had a whole bunch of guys that were here for the wrong reasons. They were here because what they could get out of it, not what they could give back. And so, most of those guys ended up departing, going elsewhere. I kind of followed their careers, which they really didn't have, because they continue to be more concerned about themselves than others. And that's the message that we try to constantly pass on to our guys. I had a guy come in at the end of the season and he said, my career's not going really the way I envisioned it would go. And he, tells me all the things kind of that are wrong. And I said, well, you know what? It's probably going to continue that way as long as you start talking about everything that didn't happen instead of going and making happen what you want to have happen. You got to work, man. You got to work. You got to put in time. You got to work. And I think that's the mentality that we have now. We also have a mentality of sharing now. And it's culture. And when they see 20 guys come back and they start to complain about something and those guys go, yo, stop. People here care about you. And that's really what it comes down to. If you care about somebody, you'll go to great lengths for them. If you care about somebody, they know you care about, you know that you care about them. And there's exceptions. We just had an exception. But by and large, when you care about people, what you get in return is so much more really than what you give. And that's the message that we try to send. So, she's giving up on minutes back there. Hopefully I said something that makes some sense. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. If y'all do something for me, if y'all would, and I know you're all God-fearing people and get down on your hands and knees every night. If you get down on your hands and knees and thank God for another day, remember the Mountaineers in your prayers. I've got 4 freshman guards. Thank you.